How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to 𝐅𝐍 TV. This is the player rating show. It is just me at this moment in time, but hopefully my man Phil will be able to jump on as well whilst we are going through the player ratings. And he has done. What is that? That's anyone would think we practiced that, Mr. Miles? Anyone would think we practiced that?
I'll be honest, mate. I've been sat. There's obviously two streams backstage. There's one for Leeds United lasses. I've been sat in there for 5 minutes.
Oh, what's he like? What's he doing?
Amateur mistake, mate. Amateur. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. But mate, listen, we've just literally just started. First and foremost, we've heard obviously plenty from myself about the game. What about you? What were your thoughts on the game? It was quite good, wasn't it?
Mate, I am absolutely fuming. I am one of these very few Leeds fans that had a ticket to this game. And I was on holiday, so I had to sell my ticket for the game. And we ended up watching the full 90 minutes in Amsterdam airport, ready to come back. And I was just so upset that I wasn't there. I've been told it's the best atmosphere in 20 years and everything like that. I'll be honest, like from watching the game, and I've heard it said in a few other quarters, so I'm not the first person to say this. I'm not going to pretend that I am, but I really do feel like it's drawn a line between two different eras of Leeds United Football Club. And look, I've sat with him behind me. I've found it really hard to accept everything that happened in February and March time. And this is the first time where a game has come round where I've really got on board with, look, that's in the past now. This is the future, and I'm excited about the future. I like the way that we play. Some of the players that I sat here and castigated last season, I'm going to sit here and say that are fantastic now, no matter how daft that makes me look. I love the way we play. I love the way that, as much as I loved that stuff last season, like going into games against the top 6 sides now, I don't feel like we are just looking at a 5-0, 6-0, 7-0 tonking because we can't adapt. Like, we have got a chance in these games every now and again to really spring a surprise against big teams. And obviously, like, I'm not going to get ahead of the jump the gun as such, but yeah, I mean, in terms of how you read that result and that performance, you've got to take it positively. And I was looking at 14th at the start of the season, and I'm not sitting here now thinking Champions League's on, but I know Joe Wayman sat there right now on his Just Joe channel going, strike up the band, we're going to Europe. But no, I'm sold on maybe 12th. Like I'm slowly coming up. So like Mark's comment is very much spot on. It feels like a changing of the guard. It does feel like a watershed moment in terms of it's a new chapter for Leeds United. And I'm fully behind Jesse Marsch now. I said I'd give him 10 games at the start of this season before I really make a judgment. And there's still 7 games to go, but 3 games in, what a great start to the season. And we've got 2 games coming up that we could feasibly not drop points in, and we're halfway towards that goal of just staying in the division. And then who knows? And maybe we've had 2 seasons of Premier League football, one of them good, one of them not so good, and this looks like it could be more like the first. So Mr. Negative is really optimistic and really happy. I mean, my ratings are a bit lower than yours, Oscar, as back to normal, but I am happy, I am positive. So there should be some fun to be had on tonight's show.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think we're ahead of where I thought we'd be at this point in the season. I think it's interesting. Obviously, not get too carried away because obviously Brighton away, Brentford away is 2 of the next 3 games. Everton at home, obviously Everton are fighting for points already. It could quite feasibly go wrong in the next 3 games. So I'm not going to get too carried away. But at this moment in time, you've got to live in the moment and say, yeah, we're well ahead of schedule, or where I kind of think most Leeds fans expect us to be. And you just got to enjoy the ride, really. I think there is going to be some bad moments this season, and I've kind of prepared myself for that. But great start. But let's go into Illan Meslier straight away. Again, Illan Meslier's saves were mostly from like offside shots, but to be fair to him, he did his job. He wasn't to know. He did his job each time.
Are we counting the ones that are offside or not? Because I
have to, don't you?
Yeah, I have. I think it's harsh not to.
We've agreed on an 8 on Meslier. Yeah. I mean, it was a solid distribution, was good. I think we've mentioned before about that has dramatically improved. He's taking more risks, but calculated risks. And we're building play out the back superbly well. And obviously, Adams and Rocker have facilitated that. But fair play to 𝐉𝐈𝐍 is clearly something that's been worked on.
Yeah, no, mate, I agree. And like I said in the last few shows, for me, the thing that did need working on over the summer was distribution. But realistically, the thing that has stood out so far this season is still that shot stopping. And like Robbie says, 𝐉𝐈𝐍 is getting better. His first season in the Premier League, he was pretty solid in general anyway. But last season, I think he took a bit of a knock to his confidence. And the distribution has come on leaps and bounds this summer. But the shot stopping is still there in terms of, I can see him going on to have a ridiculously good future again in terms of there's only really Donnarumma that gets the amount of game time of people his age in the same positions anyway, that would have any sort of call to be up there ahead of him in terms of keepers under the age of 25 that are getting minutes and making that kind of performance. So yeah, I think we've got the best young goalkeeper in the Premier League, and I think most people would say that's not too outrageous a call, to be honest. And like Liam says here, he did his job when called upon, but 9 times out of 10, the stuff that he did, which was spectacular, their players were offside anyway, but he wasn't to know that. He still comes out, he still makes the save, he spreads himself well. I had a bit of a dig at the 𝐿 thing last week in terms of I thought he came out and didn't really spread himself well enough, and he gave the attacker some space to go around him. But this time against players like Mason Mount and Conor Gallagher, who you would normally say a higher quality than a player like 𝐉𝐈𝐍, he did do that. And, clean sheet against Chelsea at home. There's very little you can say other than, we've gone 8. A lot of people here going 9. So, maybe we're harsh, but yeah, I've got 8.
We'll stick with all right. We'll stick with all right for the time being. Yeah. But guys, thanks so much, by the way, for your lovely comments on the post-match video, by the way. I read through the comments, some lovely ones on there. It did mean the world to me, guys. So thanks very much for that. And if you haven't done already, please do check out our post-match content from the Chelsea game. I mean, obviously, had the fan cam, Chris's live reaction, my live reaction, and obviously got this now, and Leeds lasses in a little over an hour as well at 8 o'clock. So keep it locked, guys. Keep it locked. Let's move on to the back four, mate. Rasmus Christensen, I personally felt, had his best game competitively in the Leeds shirt by quite a distance, I felt, on Sunday. I think at first it looked like a bit of a challenge against Sterling.
Yeah.
But I personally felt he won the challenge. And I think we agreed on a 7. I thought Rasmus was good on Sunday, to be honest. I think it was a much stronger display from him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which bits to pick apart there, and I don't want to be negative because it's a really, really good day for Leeds, but just in terms of he's walked away. I'm hammering no one here, but in terms of the sentence best performance for Leeds, the first 2 haven't been great, and yeah, I think this kind of hits the nail on the head. Getting better and growing into the game, definitely. And Rob has kind of done what I was about to say for me, but I thought the first 20 minutes, if we were going to concede a goal, I was saying to Ellie the whole time we were waiting for this plane to finally land and take us home, that was where it would come from. I thought Sterling versus Rasmus was very, very shaky to watch at best. Obviously, Sterling could have scored inside the first minute or so and had that goal disallowed. I thought that was where we looked most weak defensively. Going forward, still absolutely fine. The link up with Harrison, and Rodrigo is good, but defensively, he does still worry me the most out of probably all of the back four and hasn't quite adapted to the pace of the league as quick as I'd like him to. But look, we're 3 games into a Premier League career, so there is going to be time that needs to be given for that adaptation period. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I gave him a 6. Obviously, we met in the middle and went for a 7, but I do think there's a lot more to come. I was really impressed with him in pre-season. I just think so far he hasn't quite got up to the speed of the league, and that will come because a lot of the other players that we have got in the summer have. And I don't think he's going to be that far behind. So, yeah, I went a bit lower, but happy to meet on a 7.
Yeah, I mean, should we do the centre-backs at the same time again? Because I think we basically agree. We've done this on the first 3 pre-player ratings. We've gone this. I can't split properly mentally, personally. I just thought they're both similar. I thought both probably had the strongest performances of the season so far for me. I think we agreed on a 7 on both, I think.
Yeah, I went slightly lower again. I went slightly lower on Robin Koch than I did on Llorente, and there was still the odd Llorente moment in there where I was just thinking, what the fuck are you doing? But we have come out with a clean sheet. Again, I was significantly.
This has gone down well. Phil, you are the only person I know who has managed to find a way in a 3-0 win over our second biggest rivals, Chelsea, to give 6s to not just one player.
Yeah.
2 players. How have you managed to do this? How have I agreed to be in the middle at a 7? I feel bad enough for that.
Yeah, no. Look, as we go up the pitch, I promise it gets better. But defensively, I was still a bit worried, and mainly the most of it does come from that first 20 minutes.
The numbers are dropping like you won't believe on this live stream.
I know, it's great. Look, I'm not here to please the masses. I'm here to give what I've put, and I gave both of them quite low. I'm not going to reveal what I gave them, but we met in the middle on a 7, didn't we, Oscar?
We did. I come across well in this. I think I come. Right, let's talk about Pascal. I thought Pascal was the best in the back four, to be honest. I thought he did a superb job on Reece James.
Yeah.
I thought it's rock solid. Maybe going forward, it's not natural, but I think we got Jack Harrison in the form he's in. I don't think he needs that much attacking support on the left, to be honest. So I'm quite happy for Pascal to play. We see it in other teams. Ben White's playing at right back for Arsenal and doing a really good job in that respect. He's not offering loads of attacking output. Arsenal at the top of the league. At City, you see a similar kind of dynamic. It doesn't really bother me that much in terms of Pascal going forward. Yes, long term, maybe we might need another left back, but I genuinely thought Pascal was the best of the back four. But I can't. What do we agree on? We agree on an 8 on Pascal.
I'd have to check, mate. I gave him a 7, and that was higher than I gave everyone else in the back four. So
we gave an 8 to Pascal.
He was the best in the back four. I wouldn't say necessarily best performance as a left back, because I've been really sold on him as a left back in general. To be honest, the whole time he's been there, I think he's.
I don't think he's below a 7 as a left back. To be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm quite biased, but when Firpo's fit again, I personally stick with Pascal at left back. I quite like him there, but I don't see that happening. I do think we will throw him back in and see what happens there. But like you said, with Ben White doing the right back job, the right back job at Arsenal, I'm trying not to be distracted. I quite like Pascal at left back. I actually think Yelda would be a better option at left back as well than Firpo, but we'll have to give him a chance when he's back in. But one thing, obviously, the last few results and the way that the trajectory of the team, the club is seeming to go so far this season is just maybe it is a time to sort of draw a line under the last era, what I thought of certain players and what I think of them going forward, and give them a second chance. And a lot of that I will put down to Jesse Marsch, and fair play to him. He came in with a really difficult circumstance, and certain players have now joined the club in difficult circumstances and have already started to turn opinions around. Like me and you joked off air about saying nice things about Llorente, which we probably didn't expect to do. So you never know. Firpo might come in and have like 10 10s in a row. Like,
I really want Firpo to just it's good enough that Rodrigo. I want Rodrigo, Firpo, and Llorente to be a debate for man the match, just to see you freak out in terms of that. I thought Llorente has had a really, really strong start to the season in general. You look at the first 3 games, I think he's closer to the first season than what happened in last season for me, and that's pretty much reflective of the team.
Yeah, it's not difficult. The first season was good. The second season we nearly got relegated.
Let's move on. Right, let's move on to the midfield. We're rambling a bit. Yeah. Let's talk about Tyler Adams. I personally, hot take possibly, I think Tyler Adams was a strong contender for man of the match. I think winning 50-50s, dominating the midfield. There's comparisons to Kante in the media. I cannot ask for much more. I think Tyler Adams, I know it's only 3 games, but going off pre-season as well, I think he's our most consistent player. it might seem early to say that, but I think he's our most consistent player who you can just rely on to give you at least a 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I thought outstanding. What do we agree on Adams? Let's have a look.
See, I went quite low, but I'll be honest, I don't even
think low on everyone.
I don't think this was his best game for Leeds. I'll be honest. I think he's been better in the last two.
Well, we agreed on an 8. I still think 8's a little bit low, but
that's not me being negative, by the way. That's me saying, like, genuinely out of the summer signings, he's my favourite. Quite, it's not even close. And a lot of people will go Brendan Aronson for, you know, the goals, the assists that he's inevitably going to get, and the way that he presses, but. Like this comment here says, the work rate and the way that he just sort of low key just wins the ball back all the fucking time. And when he gets the ball, he doesn't need 3 or 4 touches to find somebody. It's one touch, bang, lay it off, give it someone else. And you know, we've got Rocker for that distribution type part of the role. And you know,
let's move on to Rocker as well. Rocker we gave slightly lower. I personally still thought Rocker was excellent, but you maybe a little bit more critical. We agreed on a 7 on Rocker. Again, it seems crazy to me, crazy low.
Mate, it's just simply out of the two of them. I genuinely think that Tyler Adams he's got so much of the complete package in winning the ball back, and obviously Rocker for me is more the distribution side. And I thought the way that we won the ball back and the way that we pressed and the way that we snapped into those transitions was the way that we went about winning the game, which is the kind of shit that Tuchel was moaning about. So I think the thing that was more pivotal in the game at the weekend was more the winning the ball back and sort of setting us off on transition straight away rather than picking your passes carefully. So that's the only reason, but I wouldn't say I think the only thing that made me go slightly lower for Rocker is just simply the fact that he does give away needless free kicks. He does give away fouls quite a lot, but at the same time, they're the kind of things that normally I do like. But yeah, I don't know. I think Tyler Adams for me is more my kind of player, and you know, some people will prefer Rocker as their type of player. It kind of depends what you're after, but
you don't really have to prefer either. You can love them both, you know.
You can, yeah.
Either or situation. Let's move on. I mean, I can't believe how low I've gone in these early bits, Phil. I'm going to keep moaning about it.
Hey, it's going high.
It's team effort. We agree to go on the app. What we do is, guys, just to let you know, is I send my ratings. Phil sends his ratings
for everybody,
and we go down the middle.
Yeah,
go down the middle. So this isn't me. This isn't me, by the way. So before the comments start, this isn't me on the lower side of the ratings. I will just point that out. I've thrown Phil right under the bus there. Let's talk about Dan James. Dan James, again, I thought we were pretty happy with Dan James. Obviously, a big part in the third goal.
Yeah.
The pressing was really good. I thought 𝐶𝐄, to be honest, struggled all game with him, both on the ball. When 𝐶𝐄, he's not just a defender, is he? He's obviously a really good technical footballer. I've never seen 𝐶𝐄 struggle as much under a press, either for Brighton, Chelsea, or in Spain, is what he did on Sunday. Yeah. He looked average, to be honest, 𝐶𝐄. So it's a good reflection of Dan James for me, that. So 7.
Yeah. See, this is where I find it interesting. Like, a lot of the comments here, like, obviously all the people I've given so far, everyone's gone higher. No one's gone as high as I've gone on Dan James. I think it was a really low-key, brilliant performance. You won't notice some of the stuff that he did. But genuinely, he was involved in a lot of the things that we did going forward, and really underrated in terms of what he contributed to the performance overall. I only went to 7.5. I think we met in the middle and went slightly higher on an 8. But I thought he really did well. To say that his strength for what we perceive this season is to come off the bench and threaten people with that pace. But he started the game and performed really well throughout and sort of showed different glimpses of his game that we don't normally see in that link-up play. All we normally see from him is bang a ball in behind, let him chase it. There was so much more to his game at the weekend that I didn't realize he was actually capable of, I'll be honest. So obviously the pressing stuff comes out in it as well. And I've highlighted for the last few games that front four and the way they press, but it's good to see that he can fit into that too. So maybe he will play a bit more of a part. If he can keep up performances like he did at the weekend, he might play a bit more of a part than some of us may have expected in terms of what he's seen so far up until this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And that probably hands us quite nicely to Brendan Aronson. I think we agreed on an 8 on Brendan Aronson. Again, maybe he could have gone up to a 9 on Brendan Aronson, but we've saved the 9 for probably what we felt was our joint man the match, I guess, in terms of our rating. But Brendan Aronson, excellent again. I think he is the player that excites me most in this Leeds team, potentially Luis Sinisterra. I know Jack Harrison probably gives you pure end product. Jack Harrison is, for me, the best of our front four in terms of numbers. But Brendan Aronson the one that really gets you off your seat for me in terms of his intelligence with pressing. Every single time he gets the ball, he has a go. And let's be honest, yes, Tuchel can say all he wants about the goal being handed to him. It was just brilliant pressing. And he deserves his goal for the work rate. And listen, we can say all we want about maybe he got a little bit lucky at the first goal. I don't think he did. But how unlucky was he with the Wolves goal?
Yeah.
You know, it balances itself out at the end of the day. Solid 8 out of 10 for me, Brendan Aronson.
Yeah, I went the same, mate. Bang on. It's just the press. He's a pest. He'd be really fucking irritating to play against, and you know he's exciting to watch. And like Solarim says here, like that first yellow card for Koulibaly, he absolutely sells him one. And this is someone that was regarded as one of the best centre backs in Europe about a year ago. So, yeah, he never stops. Like we said a few weeks ago, like a mixture of Pablo Hernandez and Gianni Alioski in terms of that never-ending battery, but creative passing as well. Like, I think he's going to be one. If you like that exciting, fast-flowing, pressing football, like he's going to be the one to watch for Leeds players this season. He's one that I think people will take to really well. But yeah, some people thought he might struggle for the fee, but at the moment, 25 million quid's looking like a really good deal.
Never. It was well worth the fact. He's played in the Champions League. You know, he's made impressions against Bayern Munich in the Champions League for Salzburg, and you know, he's an experienced player. You know, for his age, he's a very experienced player. He's played at a high level of football. I never really felt concerned about the price tag at all. And 24 million, you look at what other players are going for. Morgan Gibbs-White has he's played what? Couple of games in the Premier League, most of his career in the Championship. He went for 44 million. So for me, I don't think it was that big a price, and I think it's a very good high value signing. So let's talk about Jack Harrison, who I thought was man the match. He was just ridiculous. I mean, Reece James, I've never seen Reece James, genuinely never seen Reece James have a worse game in my life. I don't like Reece James. I think he's quite a nasty player, to be honest with you, Reece James. He's one of those players you'd love if he was in your own team, but I have to admit, I do think he's a really good defender. I think 1v1, he's one of the best defenders in the league. Probably the best English 1v1 defender around, not just right backs and centre backs and left backs. Jack Harrison mugged him off throughout the game, and it was a 9 out of 10. We're very to get a 10, the standards are very, very high. So maybe in another time we'd have gone a 10 out of 10, but we're keeping it very, very high standards for a 10 out of 10 this season. But this was as close as we'll come all season to a 10 out of 10 for me. I think he's only going to get better. I think, you know, unbelievable. He's one of the best left-sided players in the country. Certainly on current form for me, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I went a little bit higher, didn't I? I went 9.5. So if we would have gone to 10, I wouldn't have minded, to be fair. But to be honest, there's been a shout for him being man of the match in all three of the first games. Obviously, Rodrigo will take the headlines. He's top scorer in the league. And, you know, Harrison is joint with Kevin De Bruyne for most assists in the league and most chances created and all sorts of different stats. It's baffling. But, you know, he did kind of show this in glimpses in the first season in the Premier League. And, you know, he had that record that was better than every other English midfielder, but still didn't get taken to the Euros. I think this is the year that he pushes on and he does get, you know, Justin's just beat me to it in the chat, but I do think this is the time. If he doesn't get an England call up this season, I'll be very, very surprised. He's already started the season in ridiculous form, and you know he's taken responsibility for certain things that perhaps he wasn't taking responsibility for last season, in terms of he genuinely doesn't piss about on the ball anymore. He doesn't chop 12 times before trying to whip a ball in. Maybe we get the chop once, but he'll do a defender and he'll whip a ball in. The decision making seems to have really solved itself with some of these problem players from last season, Jack Harrison, Dan James, Rodrigo, that decision making, I'll give him credit where it's due. Jesse Marsch must have done something to have made that not be a problem anymore, or whether it's confidence or whatever it is. These players.
He's like a traditional winger now, and you don't see a lot of them now, really. I think only at the top level now, we can only really think of people like Leroy Zane and that lot, who I think are general, like, proper out-and-out wingers rather than wide forwards. But he takes on the man. He stays really, really wide as well, you notice. And, it's why I never really agreed with the talk about the team lacking width. On the right-hand side, we do play quite narrow on the right, but on the left, I think Pascal sort of tucks in and Jack just he basically runs the left wing on his own in the attacking sense. He really has. He's took on the Rafinha role, but sort of in that kind of sense. So I can have nothing but praise for him. Let's move on to Rodrigo. Rodrigo, I'm going to let you have this one, Phil, because I know how much you love to praise Rodrigo. We agreed on a 9. He was phenomenal again, and he's got a real shout for the Spain squad. Yeah.
So I gave Harrison man of the match, but look, if there was anyone else that was up there, Chris has said it in a nutshell. Give him the armband; he's a different man. This season, I don't know what's got into him, but we are starting to see a £27 million player. We've got 4 goals in 3 games. We've got an assist as well. I don't know what Jesse's feeding him, in all honesty. I mean, I've seen an 8 and I think that's low, but I forget the first 20 minutes of this show. He's genuinely does look different gravy at the moment. Like, anything he touches turns into goals. And he's genuinely putting it in as well. It's not like it's just a tap in here and there. He's putting the effort in. He's putting the yards in. He's part of that press, which I never thought I'd say. Generally speaking, I'm not taking everything I ever said back, but in terms of have we got a quality footballer, then it does seem as though we finally have someone that can.
Each week you'll take one little thing you said about Rodrigo back. I will never take back what I said about the way that the interaction with the fans was last year, because it was. Oh, stop going on about that.
It was bad.
Going on about that.
There's got to be an effort made there. There's got to be an effort made there to reverse that, and that is beginning to happen, which I'm relieved.
Look at the way he celebrates every goal, man. He celebrates like a fan. I love that.
And that's good. And the longer that continues, the better. And the good run of form will help.
Well, Phil, listen, sorry to interrupt you, but Bamford had a similar kind of like situation with Leeds fans after the Millwall game in the Championship. The best way to respond is scoring goals and producing performances, and that I'd much rather that than an apology as such. For me personally, I'm much more interested in what he does on the pitch, and he's doing his job to a superb standard.
I like that. That's brilliant.
Right, let's get that screen. We definitely don't think that of Rodrigo. Definitely don't. Right. So Phil did get very angry with Rodrigo last season. If anyone isn't getting the gist of this conversation, let's move on to the 2 substitutions who played a considerable amount of minutes. Forshaw came on for Rocker to basically just keep the game calm, ticking over. I think Rocker obviously does tire a little bit easier than Tyler Adams, and I think that will improve as the season goes on. Forshaw, 7 out of 10 we agreed on, ticks things over and did a typical Adam Forshaw job, really.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Shored things up when he came on, and seems to be that's going to be a substitution I think will happen a lot. Like you said, I do think Rocker tires a bit quicker than Adams. I can kind of foresee that one being one that happens quite regularly. But me and you were saying when we did the transfer shows in the summer, and what would we like to bring in, what could we think about, and are we happy to see Adam Forshaw starting games? Yeah, at the time it was a yes, but these 2 have come in and they are going to take precedence over him. But if he's your first substitute off the bench to just come and add some maturity, calm things down and see out a result, then it's a great thing for Forshaw, and it's a great thing for us to be able to have that option as well. But I'm really happy for him. He's spent a long time out of the game, and it's good to see he's come back and managed to maintain some sort of form. So I'm really happy to see where he is at the moment, and hopefully we do keep him on for a little bit more. And like Chris just says there, he is really, really reliable and offers a great deal to the rest of the team when he comes on. So, yeah, happy with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw a proper first glimpse in competitive action of Luis Sinisterra, and I was really infused. I thought he came onto the game, the intensity stayed at the same level, he was taking on his man, pressing looked good, and he's got a fantastic name, as I keep saying. What a name that is. That's a proper winger's name, that Luis Sinisterra. It's
a winger's name, yeah.
It is. If you think, yeah, it's something about it. If you're asking me, I don't know anything about Luis Sinisterra. What position does he play? He's a winger. It's just a winger's. It's something about it. It's a winger's kind of name, isn't it? But listen, I was really infused. It felt a little bit like when I'm not going to compare him to Rafinha, because Rafinha is a special player who's gone to Barcelona. I'm not expecting anyone to be at that level. I'm hoping they will be at that level, but I'm not expecting. I'm not holding them to that benchmark, because Rafinha is a special player for us. But Sinisterra had a similar kind of aura to when Rafinha came on against Aston Villa, for his debut, or close to his debut, in terms of 3-0 up, but still managed to make his own impression in that kind of sense in the game. I was really impressed. 7 out of 10, I think we agreed on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't see quite as much of that yet, and I think there is a lot more still to come.
Great.
I'm excited by the signing, and I'd like to see him fully fit and fully match sharp and starting games and see how it goes then. But I am also very excited about the signing. I know we're not going to touch on the other 3 guys that came on, because they didn't really come on at a time where it's suitable for us to give them any sort of in-depth sort of analysis. But I didn't think he shone out more than any of those guys. And I did like the way that, like I said before about the Dan James fitting into that front forward pressing, I like the way that everyone just seems to know their roles. And I think that's a big compliment to Jesse Marsch as well. Like all the subs that are coming off the bench, no matter whether they're coming off at 60 minutes or 90 minutes or not at all in Southampton's game's case. But I think when it comes to the subs and when they come on, it's good that they all know their roles. They all know what they're meant to be doing, where they're meant to be, and how they snap into that press the same way as the first team. So hats off to him, hats off to the players. It's been a really good start to the season. We've got a cup game tomorrow, which would be really nice to win and get a cup run started. And if we can keep this unbeaten run going, nobody expected us to be unbeaten at this stage in the season. Let's just get behind the boys and get behind Jesse Marsch, like I believe we very much did on Sunday anyway. So it's really exciting to be part of this at the moment. It's a good time. So fair play, as Steve says here, fair play to Jesse Marsch for getting the subs right this week.
Yeah, I think learning from lessons is one of the biggest things in football, and that's what we're showing. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this player ratings anyway. 250 of you currently in the chat. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Please smash that like button if you haven't done already, and hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you could vote for us or mention our names in the Football Content Awards voting, then that would be very much appreciated as well. That has come along as well. If we can get ourselves onto that, that'd be absolutely fantastic. If you enjoy our content, of course. If you don't, then fair enough. But yeah, I'll leave it there. It wasn't the best promo, that was it? But you've heard us mention it enough.
I'd have said it in a very different way. So well done for being so diplomatic.
Yeah. It's I love to be diplomatic, as everyone can tell. Guys, thanks so much for your support, and yeah, it's just great to see so many of you on board. And we'll try and do a play ratings for Barnsley. It might be a little bit tight. We might need to put it into like 2 videos potentially, but yeah, guys, we will leave a link.
Quick, before we go, answer James's question. Where do they vote?
Check out the Football Content Awards website. There are plenty of different ways to vote for us, and you'll be able to see there: Twitter, Instagram. I think directly on the website itself, you can vote for us on. That'd be very much appreciated. Jesse Marsch, manager rating. It's a quite simple one. 10 out of 10, and we can leave it there. Or maybe 11 out of 10. Yeah, maybe go for 11, because the fist bump to the jumper, what's the name in? That was a phenomenal effort. 11 out of 10. Let's leave it there anyway, guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you later. Cheers, guys.